I got my first 1000 subscribers playing a Game Boy game from 2004, and it wasn't an overnight success. It took me 7 months of just figuring things out. But looking back, that's actually why this worked, because what I figured out during those 7 months is something most people never stick with long enough to see. So instead of giving you generic advice, I'm just going to walk you through exactly what happened, what worked, what didn't, what I'd do differently if I started again today. So let's time warp back into 2024, around Christmas time. This was a bit messy. I'd been thinking about starting a gaming mixed with self-improvement channel for, I think, 6 months, maybe it was 8 months. It was at least some time, longer than I'd like to admit. And I had at that point had 4 YouTube channels prior. First one was my guitar channel, then I made, I think, a Pokémon channel. I had a music channel, a self-improvement channel. None of them got over 1,000 subscribers. Some of them didn't even get 100. I think the old Pokemon channel I quit after 3 videos when I was at university, and I just thought that I could post 3 videos, now get views, and then I could make money. That was a tough realization, that YouTube was actually quite hard to get started. So when I started Neosphere, I didn't really have proof of concept that I had made YouTube properly work before, except for a fluke with a viral video. When I made my guitar cover channel, I covered Gangnam Style and got 100,000 views and a lot of comments. That and a couple other songs were the only real growth I've had on YouTube, but still it didn't push me all the way to 1,000 subscribers, so I didn't know what I was doing. So I just started, and I was inspired by channels at that time like YLearn and other similar channels in the Call of Duty niche that were making Call of Duty content mixed with gaming content. I also played a lot of Call of Duty before, if you don't know my story. So that kind of content really resonated with me. I loved watching it, and I wanted to make that just in my own style. And the first couple of videos, they didn't get a ton of views. They were below 1,000, but still they got some views. I think my second video got 500 views, which was just me talking about some of my past as far as I remember. And I actually thought that maybe this is gonna have some potential, so I kept posting. And my fourth video, which was about how I'd saved up 70k without really knowing what I was doing, that gained some traction. That got me to my first 100 subscribers, I believe. And I was actually copying off a channel called BizPath that was doing a Q&A, and one of the questions that was asked in that Q&A was, I'm making X amount of money, but I don't have a direction in life. That was like part of the title, so I actually took that part, applied it to the exact numbers that I'd made, put it onto Pokemon Emerald, and just made a 18-minute video sharing everything that I've been thinking about over the last 3 to 4 years in terms of finding direction in your 20s and still making money. And that popped off. It got 2,000 views. And for a channel that has basically 0 subscribers, that's really, really good. What my YouTube mentor told me a long time ago was, if you have a video that gets 20% views compared to your subscriber count, so that basically means if you have 1,000 subscribers and your videos gets over 200 views, then it's a viral video, then it's a really good video. That video had like 20x my subscriber count, so it was completely ridiculous the amount of views I got in that video compared to my subscriber count. And actually, one of the people that saw that video was Giovanni, who is now a friend of mine. We've talked on a lot of calls together, had different brainstorming sessions in regards to business and making money. And my YouTube channel is just so cool that the first 100 people that decided to subscribe to me, one of them actually turned into a really good friend. And when that happened, I got my first 100 subscribers. I got really motivated to continue. And while I was initially doing it just for myself, I could see that this has potential to grow quite a bit, to potentially 1,000 subscribers and even 10,000 subscribers, potentially 100 in the future if I played my cards right. So I started analyzing what had actually worked, and what I realized was that the advice that I shared was very, very personal and very specific. So some people could resonate with the fact that I wasn't just saying, you should try new things every month. It was like, I tried this specific thing in this time frame for this long, and I got sad that this happened. That was the kind of advice I gave. So it's very, very personal. I don't know if you know Hamza. I'm actually watching his Unfiltered channel again, because I think when he was 24, he moved back home and he had been abused as a kid. I really liked what he shared during that time period in his Unfiltered channel. He shared lessons with his relationships, how he has an anxious attachment style, which I could relate to. He shared a lot about business and just things he was going through. And he was very, very personal. Like, he would share things that most people wouldn't dare to share that level of detail. And that is really inspiring because it feels so relatable. It feels like he's really just a bro trying to help another bro out. So that really also inspired me to go a bit more personal. Those videos like that I had watched back in 2021, those also inspired me to think about the fact that going personal really resonates with me, so it probably resonates with people from my potential future audience as well. So I started really dialing in the personal stuff, and also just personal stuff from my unique angle and my unique thoughts, and then just noticing patterns in what people respond to. I will admit there's been some experiments I've ran that has completely flopped or gotten a lot of negative responses. I was in a business group at the time, and one person shared a post on how his mentor had basically told him that if you're not yet making 10k a month, then that's a character issue. And I got so much hate for that video because I framed it in a way some people thought it sounded too hustler-ish. Like some people compared me to Andrew Tate, which is insane, I think. So I got some hate off of that video. It's still up there. I think the title is something about the advice I needed to hear that I hated or something like that. But it really put things into perspective that when you experiment and share things from different angles, you open the door to hate, and that's not a bad thing. Because if you never do that, you're never sharing your authentic self, then you don't open the door either to really connect with the audience who truly resonate with you. So I learned a lot from doing that. And essentially what you can take away from this part, the 100 to 1000 sub route, is really how personal I've gotten, and not just given generic advice. Sure, I often use ChatGPT to clean up my scripts, but only to the point where it doesn't remove my personal voice. Let me just quickly tell you how I've scripted this. So I usually script the first 30 seconds approximately fully, and then I just add bullet points to the rest of the video, because if you do it like that, you speak from the heart and you speak more from your personal experience rather than just reading off a script, which can sound very robotic. So just going personal, letting AI help me with some of the work has really allowed me to be able to put out a lot of videos that are both personal and relatable. That's something that makes people want to watch and keep watching. And honestly, this is the part that most people get stuck on. So if you're trying to figure out how to actually turn this information into something real, whether that's building a channel or eventually making money from it, you can just DM me on Instagram. My handle is down in the description. I'll point you in the right direction. Anyway, what I'd focus on now, if I were to start from zero again, is I would do the exact same for the first 0 to 100 subscribers. But as soon as I have something that works, I would start focusing more on a single message and talking to a specific person. And I've actually done that partially throughout the journey to 1000 subscribers, and even more so now. And when you suddenly know who you're talking to, you know the exact phrases they use, their pain points, you can make much more targeted content. And you can use your own experience to create a transformation for that person to go from not having reached that goal and being in pain to having reached that goal and being without that pain. So I'd focus more on that transformation. I think without actually knowing this, I've done that a couple times with some of my early videos, like the series of being confused in your 20s videos, of basically taking someone from being in pain about what to do in their 20s and feeling confused to having some actionable steps that they can take. I'd do way more of that if I could go back, but a caveat here is I've tried to copy formats that already worked, essentially making the same video again, just with a different title and thumbnail. That I would not recommend so much, because for your loyal audience, they will sense that this is basically just doing work in order to grow, but without much substance. I already said that. I'd recommend trying to keep it fresh by taking a slightly different angle, but delivering on the same message, because there's also a lot of benefit in delivering the same message over and over if it's really important. I do preach overstimulation a lot on this channel, because I literally think it's one of the most important things we need to take care of in 2026. If you manage to improve your mental health and your relationship with technology, you can get more work done in 1 hour than most people can in 12. I'm not even kidding. It's ridiculous how much you can get done in a short period of time if you have a working brain, compared to the 99% out there today who are constantly on their phones and overstimulated. That's a bit of a side tangent. But what I was saying is essentially focus on one message, talk to a specific person, and then when you have that person, you can optionally turn that attention into interactions like I've done, replying to every single comment, asking people to DM you to get more insight about their lives so you can actually make better content for them. And let me just close this video off by saying that I really did not know what I was doing at the start, but I just put myself in a position where success was more likely.